What's up, everyone? My name is Justin Odisho, and in this episode of the podcast, I got a chance to sit down with filmmaker, fellow creative, young hustler, Gabe DeSanti, and we talked about his journey on how he's been slowly trying to transition from like freelance work, finding new opportunities, working with other awesome filmmakers like Dan Mace. You guys don't want to miss this one. He tells an awesome story about getting arrested and getting out the next day and just some crazy opportunities happening. So let's get into it. Tell the people a little bit about who you are if they're not familiar with you.
Sure. So I'm Gabe DeSanti. I am a filmmaker and photographer from the New York City area. I live in Connecticut. It's where I was born and raised. Mm-hmm. And I'm just following my passion through photography and film.
Yeah. So do you say like from the New York City area, but how?
So yeah.
Wouldn't you say you're from Connecticut?
So the reason I say I'm from the New York area is because I like live so close to New York that I'm always working in New York.
Yeah.
And when I like travel around the world, no one ever knows where Connecticut is.
Exactly. Where is it? Like, by the way.
So it's north of New York.
Okay.
It's north of New York City.
Yeah. All those little small states in the East Coast, they like just get jumbled up. In my
They
head.
do.
I'm like, there's New York.
That's how I feel about
Rhode Island.
Yeah. That's how I feel about Central America. I'm
just
like, they're all just there.
I tell this story to everyone I see with like my Uber driver had a California tattoo on him.
Yeah.
I forgot what the word for that is, but you'll never see someone get a tattoo of like Wyoming or something, like a square state. Like,
yeah.
I'm from Michigan, so you have the thumb.
Yep.
Cali. New York is kind of maybe. You got the 5 boroughs.
Maybe, but I never seen a 5-borough tattoo.
You have some tattoos, actually.
I do. I have 3
I didn't ask you about that at lunch, but care to give us like a tattoo tour? Have you seen those videos on YouTube?
No, I haven't.
They're actually really popular.
Huh.
Like I think they're called like My Tattoos or like What My Tattoos Mean to Me. Or GQ magazine has a whole series where they like bring in rappers or artists and have them do like a tattoo tour.
That's cool. But they must have hundreds. Like,
yeah, some of them have their whole, like Wiz Khalifa.
Huge, right?
Yeah,
so
is yours
many.
basically just like
just what you see? There's 3 of them. Yeah.
Can you?
The first one that's on my arm that takes up like my whole forearm. It says, "When was the last time you did something for the first time?"
That's a Drake lyric.
Is it?
Is it? Maybe Drake just said the lyric of the quote.
I think it's a quote. I forget who said it, but that would be crazy. Should I just?
What does that mean to you?
So I got
quote Drake.
Quote Drake. So I got this when I was in Vienna, Austria, and it was just a reminder to myself to always do something new. No matter like what situation you're in and like no matter how comfortable you are, to always just try to do something new every day. And like when I first heard the quote, I was obsessed with it. I made it my phone screen background, my computer background. Like I just wanted to see it every single day to remind myself to always do something new. And then I thought like the irony was cool. Like, oh, let me get my first tattoo of like when was the last time you did something for the first time.
That's
I
crazy.
thought it was perfect. So that was my first tattoo. That was last year. I got it.
Yeah, it looks pretty fresh.
Yeah, it was cool. It hurt.
I figure, like right there where all the veins are.
Down here near my wrist was like, ooh. And as I went up my arm, it hurt less.
Yeah. I heard the elbow is really painful.
Oof, can't even imagine.
And then what else do you have on there?
So on my thumb, I have yes tattooed. And that's to keep saying yes to opportunities even before you know how you're going to make them happen. Mm-hmm. And that's like a huge thing for me. Last year, I was asked to go on a trip to Indonesia, and I just said yes. And I had like very little money in my bank account. Like I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I just said yes because I knew if I said yes, I would like dream it into reality. And so that's what I did. And then it's actually the name of a film that I'm working on for myself called Just Say Yes.
Is that a exclusive?
I mean, some people know about it, but it's not like publicly known.
All right. Well, yes, coming soon.
Just Say Yes. Yeah.
Just Say Yes, the film coming soon.
I don't know when I planned on releasing that film like months ago, but when I put it together, it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it had the authenticity that it needed. So I'm still working on it on a continual basis to get it right. And I think it's really close.
And then you have wow on your wrist. No, I'm just kidding. I know it's supposed to say mom, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I have a tattoo on my arm that says wow.
Sorry, why did I say wrist? Your bicep.
Yeah. And to everyone else it says wow, but to me it says mom. And
so you knew that was
gonna I knew it was on purpose. So when I was younger, my mom always used to write me notes in my lunch, like when I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
And she would always like write me a note, and then she would put like love mom. And I don't know why, like as I got older, it just like got embarrassing, like because everyone else is like, oh, your mom's like writing you notes in your lunch. And so like I think I went home and told her, and then from that point on, she just wrote one thing on a sticky note, and it said wow. And to everyone else, it was just like, I don't know, it was just like they didn't know. It just said wow, but to me, I knew it said mom.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get that on my arm. So it's mom to me, but wow to everyone else.
Yeah, that's super cool. And speaking of the event that we were just at, your parents actually flew in to surprise you from Connecticut to like watch your premiere.
Yeah, I had no idea they were gonna be there. Like, I even FaceTimed them multiple times.
They tricked you.
And I had no idea.
When did they show up? Because I didn't, like, did they show up like midway or like?
No, it was at the beginning before anything started.
Oh, so you knew they were there.
Yeah. I was like standing talking to Brian, and I'm facing the entryway, and I'm like mid conversation with Brian, and I just go, oh my God. And Brian was like, dude, what? And I just kept saying, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then, like, they were just standing there, and I was so shocked.
That's awesome. So have your parents always supported this? Because let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
First of all, the way that I got in touch with you, I think we're kind of in a similar space.
Yeah.
In the video, photo making space.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how exactly we crossed paths, but we did somehow on Instagram or Twitter.
Yep.
And I know you're doing a lot of cool projects now in like that New York City collective.
Yeah.
And I've collaborated with some people. So I guess I was going to ask if your parents have always supported this thing, or if you've always been doing this like photo and camera stuff, because you're still pretty young, I'd say.
Yeah.
You know, you're 21. You just and how long have you been creating films and pictures and stuff?
Yeah, so I think my parents have always been like really supportive of what I've done. There were definitely times where I had to prove myself, like prove that I could do it, or that I was willing to put in the work to make it happen. I mean, growing up, my dad owns his own business, and so he's an entrepreneur. My older sister owns her own business. She's an entrepreneur. And so like they understand the want to do your own thing, but at the same time they wanted me to have like job security and like work a traditional job. So all growing up, like they wanted me to be an engineer. And so when I was applying for colleges, I applied for like the best engineering school around. And actually you saw that in my film. I got denied from that engineering school. And that was just a huge turning point. And so I was like, man, I don't know if I really want to be an engineer. Like I was just like following the path that was set. And then one day something just clicked, and I was like, I'm going to like try to be a photographer and create videos. So I started doing that, and then I was doing it. And then one day I just had this thing click in my mind. I was like, I don't want to do anything else. And so when I came forward and told them that, at first they're like, whoa, like, what do you mean you're not going to go to school? And
how old were you?
18. Like I was
when that
18.
thing clicked?
Yeah, when I had that click.
And was there anything that caused that click, like a relationship that went bad, or like a failure or something, or did it just like kind of, or someone that like you inspired you or something?
Yeah. So I distinctly remember being at my girlfriend's house. She's so supportive of me, by the way, but this just doesn't sound good.
And she said, you're never going to make it. And I was like, since that day, I'm going to show you.
So I remember like being at her house and telling her like I don't want to go to school. I want to make videos. That's what I want to do. And she just didn't understand. She was like, what do I tell my friends? Like when they ask me what you do, or like, what do I, like, how are you going to make money from that? And I was like, I don't know, but all I want to do is make videos. And I ran out of the house, and this was like probably like midnight. I ran out of the house. I went and sat in the middle of the street and called my best friend, and I was crying. And I was like, dude, what do I do? All I want to do is make videos, and no one else believes in me. And that was like a huge point, because that was the moment when I like said it out loud.
Yeah.
Like, this is all I want to be doing.
Yeah. And those are the people that you usually can be your most self around, is like your girlfriend or your best friend.
Yeah.
So that's probably how you're like putting the idea out there.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I wouldn't call it a failure, but it is like when you realize when you really want to do something is when, even when people close to you disagree with it,
yeah,
you actually want to do it more. Because you want to just like, because you really want them to understand and show them, and they couldn't see they couldn't see it yet. Yeah. But then because you had to like,
I had to prove it.
Yeah, you had to prove it. And I think in a way, it's a little bit of a good thing.
Yeah.
So you have been kind of proving it a little bit in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Take me from like so you decided, I'm going to do this, then what? Yeah. Did you just like wake up the next day and start making videos, or did you have some other responsibilities to quit or whatever?
Sure. So at that point, when I had that realization, I was working a full-time job, and it was like a really great job that I got right out of high school. Mm-hmm. And I've been working there. I worked there for 2 years. And
what was it?
It was a drafting job. I was like doing solid modeling and
what's that?
Like creating solid models on the computer of
like drafting, 3D, like CAD.
Right, exactly, 100%.
I hated that class in high school.
I went to a technical high school where I learned a trade and like a normal high school education, and so I graduated with like this. I didn't get a certificate, but like I had like 4 years of knowledge and training in computer-aided drafting. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was hired right out of high school as a drafter. And so right out of high school, got that job. It was amazing. Like I really liked it. I did for the first few months, like 6 months. I really liked it. And but then eventually it just like, it was a routine. It was a routine. It wasn't for me. And so I knew I knew that I needed to start doing something else. Like I needed to get my side hustle. And at that same time, like as I was like getting bored of what I was doing at a job, I started watching Casey Neistat, and it just like sparked this thing in my mind. Like when I was young and I knew that I could make Call of Duty videos, I was like, wow, I can make videos like Casey too. Like why not try? So I saved up for a camera. I started making these horrible vlogs, and but I was just like so in love with that process.
Why were they horrible?
It's good to say that they were horrible. Like at the time I thought they were great, but I look back and it's just like seeing how much I've improved since that point.
Yeah. It's hard getting in front of a camera for the first time.
Yeah.
Because I started the same way. I used to just edit video game stuff like Halo 2, I was telling you. Yeah. And you're never in front of the camera, and actually I had never even picked up the camera for a long time. I had just been using like these virtual cameras and editing like video game footage. And then the first time I got in front of a camera, it was just like weird, you know?
It was so weird.
How was that for you? Were you natural or?
No, it definitely took it, and still is taking like getting used to, it's taken so long to get used to like doing it in public and people seeing you.
I still can't.
It's weird. Like it's really weird, but the more I do it, the better it gets.
Yeah. It's like a short-term fear, but if you really think about it, nobody really cares what you're doing. Because how many times do you walk down the street and just see like a crazy person talking to themselves
and then you forget about it?
Yeah, you don't care, and you're actually kind of just like, oh, that's kind of fun. Like that dude's got some confidence, even though they might be crazy.
Yeah.
But so you started. I mean, I had a similar thing. I started watching. I think everyone started watching Casey around like when he started vlogging. Is that when you're talking about?
Yeah.
Couple of years ago, and I remember for me, not necessarily like wanting me to start vlogging, but just how could someone work this hard? I thought.
Crazy.
I was like, how could someone work this hard? And it did make me look at myself and be like, I'm a lazy piece of crap. I'm not doing anything compared to how fast this or how much just his office in itself. Have you been there? Have you been in his office?
I have been, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool to see in person.
Yeah. I like was in the building, but I didn't go in his office. But like, tell me about, so why were you in his office?
I was helping him create, I was one of the shooters for like a surfing video that he posted.
Okay. So was this like before you were working with Dan or no?
Oh, no, after working with Dan.
So you're looking up to this guy on YouTube, Casey. He's sparking all this stuff in you all the way to did you ever think you'd actually end up like, when you're sitting there first watching his videos, did you think that you're going to be helping on one of them?
Never. It was just like one of those things. It was just a dream.
Yeah.
Like a dream.
So tell me how you got to that point. Like, how did you link up with Dan, who's also another awesome filmmaker who linked up with Casey? Actually, I'm not even too familiar on like how Dan linked up with Casey and everything. Yeah. Maybe you could run me down on this whole like trio.
Cool. So Dan lives in South Africa. He's from South Africa.
Yeah.
And Casey's wife, Candace, is from South Africa. So they go there like every year on vacation. And I believe this is what happened is Casey wanted to learn how to surf. And so he like tweeted out like, who's in South Africa and can teach me how to surf? And I believe Dan responded. And Casey like saw it and was like, yeah, let's go surfing. And then like every year that Casey visited, they went surfing together, they hung out, and they just like built a relationship up over a few years. And I guess Casey was a fan of Dan's work.
What does Dan do?
So Dan's a filmmaker, and he like, I guess by trade in the film industry, he's a director. So he directs like commercials. And so yeah, so that's how they met. And then it just like, I guess, grew to a point where Dan wanted to come to New York and Casey needed some help, and they like turned it into something cool.
And then how did you get in the picture?
Sure. So I do you want me to like say the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Why is it really long?
No, I'll tell. So so I got involved by Dan.
Oh, you're talking about like the abandoned thing? Yeah. Say it from the start.
Say it. Okay, cool.
You were doing a lot of abandoned photography.
Yeah.
This is how you were itching that creative itch or whatever.
Yeah. So as a photographer, I was really into like doing a lot of abandoned photography. Like it just like I saw this beauty in it and I was like, oh, it's cool. And it's kind of how I got my start and like started even just growing as a photographer. I saw it performing well. So I was doing a lot of abandoned photography, and I was in Rhode Island, and I went to shoot an abandoned school and photograph it, and the police came, and I ended up getting arrested at this abandoned school. And it was just like,
how did the police come? Did you like trip an alarm?
Yeah, I guess
Someone call you?
The abandoned school had silent alarms, and so the police showed up.
What time of day was this?
Early morning, like 6 a.m.
Like you had stayed up all night, or you just woke up to go there?
No, we woke up early. When you go to these abandoned places, it's easier to like, I mean, it's not like legal, so you know that going into it. So you just try to go like at a time of day when you're not going to be seen. Yeah.
In Detroit, there's like a ton of abandoned churches and decrepit buildings and stuff. I don't think the police care as much about those. Yeah. But there's a big like scene of like abandoned place photography.
Yeah. So police came, I got arrested, and that next day I was supposed to
police came and they enter this building and they see a kid with a camera?
Yeah, so actually I was with 2 other people.
Yeah. And did everyone get arrested?
Everyone got arrested, and I was.
And what did they like? Did they come in like guns blazing?
No, so we like looked out the window and I saw that they were there, and so we were like, dude, like, what do we do? Like,
did you think about like running?
Yeah, well, we tried. We like tried. We were like, all right, what door are we gonna go out? Like, and we went out a door, and it was just like the wrong door. Like they were standing there.
Yeah.
And we were just like, okay, like, what's up? They asked us what we were doing. We did not at all think we were gonna get arrested.
Yeah.
Like, we were like,
it's usually one of those things like, sorry, you guys shouldn't be around here.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
it.
thought most we would get a trespassing fine, but when those handcuffs came out, it was a real moment.
Had you ever been in a situation like that?
I'd never been in a situation like that before.
Did you think like I'm quitting abandoned photography?
I don't
Not
think
right
it
away.
didn't cross my mind, but after I got like charged, it was like, wow.
So,
well, I
so
can't
they
get in trouble
arrested
anymore.
you, took you back.
Yeah, like
and
whole
charged you
process
with what?
with breaking and entering, but it was a false charge because we were just trespassing.
Yeah,
We didn't break to get into the school. We just entered through a door that was open.
Case still pending.
Case still pending.
If anybody can help out with this, reach out. Did your homie, like, who came up with the idea to do it? Like, let's go here. Like,
it was a mutual agreement.
I was gonna say no one was like, I told you we shouldn't have done it.
The people I was with were also abandoned photographers.
Okay,
we're all on the same page.
You know, it's like, knowing me, I'd be like the one to have agreed on it last, like, fine, we'll go do it, and then like get arrested. Be like, I told you guys we shouldn't have done this. I'm never speaking to any of this. So
that happened, and then I like was in a cell for like six hours.
In
7
Connecticut?
hours. No, in Rhode Island.
In Rhode Island.
I wasn't
Sorry,
even
yeah.
in my same state. And
Did you call anyone?
I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I need you to go DM my friend Steve on Instagram and tell him to bail us out.
Was she like freaking out?
No, dude, she answered the phone. She's like, hey. I was like, Mom, I got arrested. She's like, okay. And I was like, I need you to DM my friend Steve on Instagram. And she's like, okay. Like, let me try to find it.
Is she like savvy with that? Because I know I'd have to.
No, she's really not. She's really not. But I'm thankful that she figured it out.
Yeah.
And then like we got bailed
Steven?
out. Do you know like the exploring crew? He used to be exploring with Steve, and then there's like exploring with Josh.
I'm not too familiar, so I'd have to.
Okay, so they're like these abandoned explorers from my area. Super cool kids, like legendary. They just travel all over the world, making videos about abandoned places. Really, really cool.
And why was he like the key to get you out?
We were with him, but he just like didn't come to the school that day, and so. We like he knew like what we were doing, and like, but we just like he was only one because I was like 3 hours from home. My mom couldn't get me. Yeah. So he came and got us out.
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have an older sister and a younger sister.
I wonder, is that like why your mom was super chill? It's like you're the youngest?
No, I'm a middle.
Sorry, you just said that you're not.
Yeah.
An older sister and a younger sister?
Correct.
Okay, so you're in the middle. But like, has your older sister like paved the way, I guess?
I don't know. Really. I don't think so. Like, I think my mom was so chill because like she knew what I was doing.
Yeah, she knows you're not a bad kid.
And I was always open about it. I'm like, I mean, she knows like it wasn't legal, but she also knows that I'm not like doing bad things. I'm kind of just documenting like what was left. Yeah. And like, I don't think I'm a bad person for that. Yeah. And so I got out of the prison cell, and
what about your camera stuff? Did they confiscate it all?
Yeah, they took it all, but we got it back right after, like right when we got out.
I would be like,
dude, I was freaking out. I like just got the camera. No, that's a lie.
Still,
I didn't like. It's just an expensive camera. I was like, what if I have to buy a new camera? Like,
they keep it as evidence.
Dude, thankfully it was just personal items, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that they even arrested us because like we're just photographers, like just documenting something, but they just weren't having it.
Before we go on to your freedom.
Yeah.
Would you say like you don't really do that type of photography anymore? Or like what could you tell somebody now of your experience with that? Like would you advise somebody to go for it or like just be careful or what?
I don't see anything wrong with it. Just be careful. The only reason I'm not still doing it is because my case is pending and I just can't get in any trouble.
Oh, so you still would check out cool places?
I still would, totally.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So your buddy Steven comes.
Yeah.
And he like comes saves the day?
Yep.
Or is he slow? He's like, hold on, I
No.
gotta go get tacos first, guys.
No, he saves the day. They came through
Mm-hmm.
and they made it happen for us. And yeah, then we got out.
And so what happened when you got out? You're stuck in there for a while. I'm sure
Yeah,
you
we're
were
stuck
busy. You
in-
had a bunch of stuff you were gonna do.
Yeah, we're stuck in Rhode Island, and then the jail, or like the prison. It's not prison. It's
Yeah,
like
no,
just
yeah,
the
I think
police
it's
station.
jail. It's right. Prison
It's like
is the
a
one that
holding
you,
cell.
yeah. Prison is the one that you go to long term.
Yeah.
And
So-
read books and work out and
Oh,
stuff.
you know.
Jail is just where you just sit. in the
You're
thing,
just
right?
sitting there, right?
I don't know.
So we get out, and we're told that we can't leave the state of Rhode Island without permission from a court. And at this point, it's a Sunday, so we have to wait until Monday morning to go to a court to get permission to even leave the state, or else we would have like a warrant out for our arrest, which was like crazy.
Outlaws.
Yeah, I know. And on that Monday, my friends and I were supposed to leave to go to Toronto.
Mhm.
We had this week-long trip planned to Toronto. I'd never been before. I was so excited, and we can't go, or like I can't go. So I'm like texting them, and I'm like, guys, you just have to go without me. Like, I'm so sorry, I can't come. I told them what happened, and at the same time, I get a DM from my friend Lucy, and she sends me Dan's Instagram story saying that he needs help with an upcoming film, and to like DM our work to him.
And had you been familiar with Dan?
I knew who Dan was from Casey's videos, and I was a fan of his work, and so I shot my shot. You know, I DM'd him. I said, here's my website. I would love to work with you. And this was like a few hours after he had posted the story.
So you're
which was
quick
cool.
on it.
I was quick, but like slower compared to, I'm sure, the huge amount of messages he got beforehand.
Right away, yeah.
And I just shot my shot, and I look at my phone. Yeah.
Before, can you go into like, because this is something that I'm sure a lot of people would want to dive deep into. Like, how do you shoot your shot? You just like, I know you just said how you did it, but like,
Yeah.
because so many people would be like, what do you mean you just DM'd him? Like, what did you say? Give me the exact format. Give me the exact.
I like sent a website link.
Which is so you have your own website domain, which is like your first
Correct.
name, last
Yep,
name.
GabeDeSanti.com.
And what is on your website?
Just like the landing page is like what I consider my best work.
Yeah.
And it also is linked to my Instagram. So like my Instagram comes up on my website.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to waste people's time. You know, you want them to see everything right when they click. You don't want them to have to go back to your Instagram to look, because odds are like they're not gonna.
That's true. I never thought of that.
So the first thing I wanted them to see was like my ultimate best. And so that's how I shot my shot.
Did you clean up the site before you sent, or did you already have it ready to go?
It was ready to go. It was like my friend sent me the slide. I immediately went to Dan's page, DM'd him my website, and that was my shot.
Okay, dope. So if you guys want to check out his website, go to it, GabeDeSanti.com.
GabeDeSanti.com,
right?
yes.
And follow us both on Instagram while you're at it. A little midway break. They'll be in the links or whatever. But just so you can see exactly what he's talking about. So you shoot your shot, and then what did you like throw your phone? Like,
and then like I put my phone back in my pocket, because at this point I'm walking to the courthouse.
yeah, you still have all this other stuff to deal with, but you're still shooting your shot, working. You know?
And so I'm like walking to the courthouse. I shoot my shot. I put my phone in my pocket. I pull my phone out a few minutes later, and I see a message from Dan Mace, and I'm just like, oh my God, like no way. This is like giving me goosebumps telling me about like this story. So I'm
opportunity.
like, oh my God, like he responded. I open it up. He's like, hey man, can you come to New York City tomorrow? And I was like, in the back of my mind, you know, I had this like court thing happening where I couldn't leave the state of Rhode Island until I got permission. So I'm like, well, what happens if I don't get permission to leave? Like how? But regardless of that thought, I just said yes. Like I'll be there. And so before even knowing if I could leave the state, I just said yes. Going back to the tattoo concept of yes.
Did you have that already?
Yeah, I had it.
Okay. So you look down at your thumb and you're like, yes.
I was just like, yes. And then that's how I met Dan. I went the next day.
But how did you leave the state of Rhode Island?
We ended up getting permission.
Oh,
to
okay.
leave.
You went to the courthouse and explained to them.
Yeah, we basically were like, we don't live in Rhode Island. We're from Connecticut, and our court date isn't for 3 months, so we need to leave.
And they were like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So instead of going to, so you canceled the Toronto trip?
Yeah, my friends had already left way earlier that day, and so I couldn't go with them. But there was a part of me where it was like, I don't care about going to Toronto. Like, I'm about to work with someone who, like, could change my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was huge.
Have you found that it has changed your life?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think, like, working with Dan has been the biggest and best opportunity that I've ever had. And I'm super grateful for it.
So tell me about that. So you ended up driving, flying, what, to New York?
We got back to my house that day, and then the next following day I took the train to New York City. I think I like asked my friend if I could sleep on his floor.
Who you had a friend in New York?
Yeah, my friend Adrian.
Okay.
Shout out to Adrian.
I read a tweet yesterday that was like, if you're a creative who's kind of already settled into a major city, it's your duty to let your friends crash on your couch so they can make moves.
Yes.
So that's a good example.
I love it. Shouts to Adrian for that. So I went to New York City, met up with Dan. He like kind of briefed me on this film idea, and
that's what he wanted people to help with.
Yeah. Okay. It was a film that's called The Real Broadway Musical, and it was a really interesting project to help him with. And like that was my first shot. And then after that, first like working on that project with him was like absolutely amazing. Like I learned so much in the filming process and in the editing, like getting a look at how he edits some videos, and like it was really, really rad.
Yeah. What is like some technical stuff? Like what programs were you guys using and stuff?
Adobe Premiere, using Adobe Premiere, and just like his techniques for editing was really interesting. So on that film, he created a soundtrack out of the sounds of New York City.
Yeah.
And so we recorded sounds, and then he sent it to a music producer, and then like in this short period of time, we came up with an edit to this soundtrack that has been made. But like we needed to pump this video out in a week, so that meant we needed to start editing the video before we had the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And so we had to edit to a click track, and it was just the clicking at the same tempo.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4. He already knew the tempo.
Yeah. So he knew the tempo from that he communicated that with the producer, and so we got a tempo, and we just edited to this click track, and then like when we dropped the song in it nearly like matched perfectly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's like goes to show you about turnaround times and like
yeah.
Getting creative and doing what you can. Like so many times when you're editing, it's just a lot of waiting, waiting for things to render or waiting. And if you really get efficient with it, you can do this while that's happening. Yeah. That's happening.
And it was just like the pressure of needing to release that film. Like he had a weekly series, so like it needed to come out every week. And just that pressure of needing to put it out on a certain day at a certain time was like pushing us to get it done.
Yeah. So when you say film, is it like different? So the series, was it like going up on YouTube or?
Yeah, it was a YouTube series.
Okay, and each week you would do like a short film on something?
Yeah.
And so that one's up and available to watch?
Correct, yeah.
And so like what did you do in that? Like what was your involvement?
Sure, so I helped shoot some of the video.
Okay.
And like Dan filming, and then going out, he gave me like a shot list that he needed. And then like I shot some of the scenes that were in it.
Yeah.
And then when it came to editing, like I started editing a little piece, and then like he took over the edit at a certain point.
And so how did you use that? You were with him for like a week?
Yeah.
So how did you act in that week to be to build a relationship so where it wasn't just like, okay, thanks for helping me with this one, see ya.
Yeah.
And you guys actually continue to say, let's continue to work.
Yeah. So I just
happen?
Tried to provide as much value as I possibly could. In our very first DMs, he told me like, this isn't a paid project, but if you need to be paid, like I can figure something out. And And I'm very much on my Gary V hustle of doing free work. And I was like, dude, like, I don't want you to pay me. And so I think that made a good first impression. And then when I got to the city, I was just continuously like, hey, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Like, what can I do? Maybe, I don't know if it came across annoying. Like, I tried to do it in a way where I wasn't being annoying. I just wanted to provide as much value as I possibly could so that I could build on that relationship more.
And so like even things like, yo, you hungry? I'm at the store.
No, he was cool. He was cool. He bought us food. Like, he's a super legend. Like, when I'm helping him on videos, like he's paying for my food and stuff that. Super legend for that.
I'm like that even with like trying to like collaborate with someone. Like, yo, I'm at the gas station. Like, you want gum or water? And, like, I do like everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. I think that's like a point of contention for a lot of people. They have to see both sides. Like, no, free work undervalues the whole industry or something. Like, I think personally there's a line to where the value that you're getting is worth something. It's not like you're just doing free work for Joe Schmo who just wants you to do like a poster and whatever. The value is so much greater than like a dollar sign because it could change your life, like you said.
100%.
So would you just, I guess I would just recommend that people just measure and take a look at, we're not saying go do free work for just go show up at your local whatever and be like, you guys can use and abuse me.
Yeah.
But say yes to these opportunities that you think might have a potential to
100%
really connect you and take you to the next level, and then you can learn how to make money.
100%.
So, I mean, so how are you in that process now where you're like, so you worked with Dan on that, but then like what was it when it came to the end of that project? Were you ready to be like, that was a great experience, I learned a lot, and now I'm gonna go back to do whatever else, or what?
I just wanted to, like, after that process, like, I learned so much from the process as like a creator, but I learned like a lot about Dan as well, and how like he's just an amazing human being and person. And I was like, I just like want to be around this guy. Yeah. Just like such a creative mind, and I can learn so much as a creator, just from editing to filming to like his thoughts on certain topics.
Yeah. How old is he? I mean, he's like a little bit older than
I think
us.
he's 28.
Right? Okay. So like maybe like a little bit of a big bro.
Yeah.
A little big brother vibe. What was it? Because like I know when we were talking about Casey, like I was like, wow, how can someone be so like work so much and like pack their day with every single hour is used productively?
Yeah.
What was that with Dan? Like just
I think it was similar actually. And it was like we just like when I'm with Dan, like we're just hustling. Yeah. And we're also having a great time at it. Like we're laughing, hanging out with friends. Yeah. But like we're being productive and pushing out a film. And I just wanted to be around that hustle. Yeah. I think coming from Connecticut, the reason why I love New York so much is because it's that nonstop hustle. And I saw this as an opportunity to just work my butt off as much as I could. Yeah. And get myself to a place where like I could position myself for taking that next step into like creating my self brand and like and improving as a filmmaker and as a creator. Yeah. So where are you with taking that next step now? Like right now you're still working on, so you're still saying yes to projects, collaborating, freelancing, right? Yep. And what are you working on? Like what are you building on the other hand? Yep. So I think like there's two sides of me. There's the side that like makes the money, but that's not necessarily the side that I share online. Like my freelance work, it's not the work that I want to be doing forever. Yeah. And then there's the me that you see online on Instagram, on YouTube, and that's what I'm building. But the stuff you see is like 70% of my time, and the freelance stuff is like 30% of my time, and it's just enough time to make enough money to support the other 70%. Yeah. But as I grow more, I hope those numbers, like the freelance side, I hope those numbers decrease, and then I could just put all of my time into building my self brand. Yeah. So ideally, you could just
totally work on projects that you choose and are passionate about.
Yeah.
And are able to find a way to make money out of that.
Correct. Yeah.
Have you started doing that? Like, what's some things like? Have you started being able to make more money? When we're saying like self-brand, what do you see that as?
Sure. Like Gabe DeSanti as a filmmaker. You know, I want to be known as Gabe DeSanti, the filmmaker and photographer, not Gabe DeSanti, the freelancer.
Yeah.
So that's what's important to me. And I think it's becoming more and more true in reality for me as I grow more. But like and I guess like influencer could be like in there as well.
You know, everyone hates that word, but it works.
It does.
Like,
yeah.
I hate the word, but
and
it is what it is.
As an example, like next week on Thursday, I believe, I fly to Italy with Red Bull and Timex, and I'm doing an Instagram story takeover. And although it's not necessarily like filmmaking or something, like I'm acting as an influencer figure for them to do this takeover to tell their story. And like,
you're just a capable storyteller. You know? Like, who also is working on their own stuff.
Yeah.
It makes sense for them to have you take over their story. Like a good, energetic personality, also good at storytelling, and take their spin on it. I'm just saying what they might think. No, I'm just kidding. Are you gonna get the Red Bull hat? I heard that those are exclusive to people that work with Red Bull. I think you actually have to be like sponsored by Red Bull as like an athlete or something. I don't know.
Interesting.
But yeah, so what about that trip? So it's like, did you say they're paying for you or what?
Yep. So it's through Timex.
Okay.
Timex sponsors a Red Bull cliff jumping series. So I'm doing the Instagram story takeover for Timex.
You're gonna jump off a cliff?
I'm not jumping, but I'm like covering.
I'm
covering all the athletes who are jumping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're providing a value and a service for them, but in a way that you also enjoy doing. It's not like you hate weddings and you're going to film a wedding.
Correct.
It's like, first of all, cool, you're going to Italy.
Yeah.
You're gonna meet a ton of cool people.
Yep.
You're gonna be on a cool Instagram page, and you do Instagram stories for fun.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So it's like, cool.
Now I get paid for it.
Yeah.
So that's cool, I think, because it's kind of freelance work, but it's kind of like...
It's like independent contractor.
Yeah, and it's doing like what I want to be doing.
Exactly, yeah. So it's similar, but it's more passion involved.
Yeah.
So I feel like everybody now would want to get to the point where like everybody wants to be an influencer or whatever you'd say, air quotes. What do you think separates, like, why would Red Bull choose you, and what have you done to get to this point, or anybody choose you? Like, you can't just get paid for posting pictures. Like, wouldn't you say that there's so much work that has gone into it, and could you define it if you could, or is it like too abstract?
Sure. So first, like with that specific like contract and job, it was all like who you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like I knew the right person. They got me in contact with them, and I got it. But also like I guess I had the work that they were looking for.
But the reason you know who you know is through the work that you've put out there. Same with me.
Correct. So that was cool. But
I think you answered it right there. Honestly, who you know is so important, but you only get to know the right people by sharing.
Yeah.
Like, I would never know you if I was sharing like basketball videos or something.
Right.
Maybe I would. I don't know. But like, I am sharing video stuff because I'm authentically passionate about it.
Correct. Yeah.
And so that somehow comes across. We somehow come across each other's paths. Yeah. And it makes sense because we're not doing I wasn't just sharing video stuff because it was like I was trying to make some money. I guess if you just do what you're authentically passionate about and work really hard at it, it'll attract the right people in your life. And
100%.
And hopefully it can like steer on. So
yeah,
I guess it kind of comes full circle, like back to when you're telling your girlfriend, like, I want to make videos, blah, blah, blah. Are you still dating her?
Oh, I am. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now what does she tell her friends that you do?
Now, like, all of her friends like know what I do.
Well,
It's
so
like, it's been built to a point to where like Gabe is like a photographer and he makes films.
yeah, so it's like no longer like you don't get it.
Yeah,
It's like,
no.
so how does that feel like with the
It's good. It's good.
from before and after?
It's very good.
Yeah.
And like she's the most supportive person. Like besides my parents, like she is so supportive of what I'm doing, which makes it really easy to keep doing it.
Yeah, because I'm sure you have to travel a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes travel away from each other.
Being away is hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
She's super supportive, which makes it just amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I feel like we talked about like the whole like a really interesting story and journey and where you're at right now, and you've been doing good work you've been doing good work since you started your hobby, but for the past couple of years you've been really finding your passion.
Yeah.
So I guess what are just the next things that you want people to look forward to, or where are you taking it in your head right now?
Yeah.
What are you working on? Like where's next for
Awesome.
someone?
I want to keep making original films and like films that tell a story and have a meaningful impact on someone when they watch it.
Mm-hmm.
The film that I premiered last night and the one I put out today, that was my first step at doing that. And I think that it's a really powerful message, and when somebody watches it, it could literally like change their outlook. I know I've had some pieces of pillar content that I've seen, and it's just like, wow, like it just gives you a total different like outlook on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be able to do that for someone else, even if it's just one person. Like that's my mission, is to keep doing that in the best way I know how, which is creating films and taking pictures and putting out that content. So I guess, to sum all of what I said up, is I just want to keep improving my craft, working with other creators, even to tell their stories. As long as I'm able to just pick up a camera every day, like that's what I'm going to do for as long as I can. Awesome.
So closing out then, is there any final piece of wisdom or whatever you want to tell people? Like you said, you want to be a good example for someone else or just be able to change them. So this is your chance, I guess, to whoever's listening. What do you want to tell them?
Yeah. I guess I just want to tell them to go for it. Like, I don't want it to sound like a cliche, but like you have to go for it, because I'm like terrified of regret. So like for me, there's no other choice. Like I had to go. I had to do it. I had to try it. Like if you take even a year to just try something that you're super passionate about, if it doesn't work out after a year, you can go back to whatever you were doing before that. But like just take that year, see what happens, and you'll never regret taking that year to try it, because in that process you might just find like what you're supposed to do.
I agree. And just speaking to me. So thank you so much, man, for coming on. I really enjoyed listening to it even as I'm speaking to you.
Thank
you.
I
know it's going to be a good episode. I think people are going to like it.
Cool.
And where can people best find you, reach out to you? I want you guys to all, if you listen this far, send us a message on Instagram.
Yes, please.
Let us know what you thought of the conversation, or like if you had any questions that you want to elaborate on. Message Gabe for sure. Tell him thank you.
Please, on Instagram. On Instagram, I respond to everything. So
So I'll leave all of our links. What is it, I guess, if someone's just listening?
Gabriel.DeSanti.
So spell it real quick.
GABRIEL.DESANTI.
Perfect. So I'll link everything in all the descriptions. And where else can they watch? Subscribe to you on YouTube?
Subscribe to me on YouTube. Just Gabe DeSanti.
Cool.
Or it's in my Instagram bio.
Cool. So yeah, I'll leave all the links for you guys to get in touch with him, his website, Instagram, but definitely reach out to us. Thank you guys so much again for listening to another episode of my podcast. Big things coming, hopefully, on it. And I look forward to hearing or talking to you guys in the next one. Woo! Also, this is available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, basically everywhere. So wherever you are, leave a thumbs up, 5-star rating on iTunes, leave a review, whatever, and just let me know, and I'll personally thank you and tell you you're awesome. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next ones. Cool, bro. That was dope. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Thank you so much. That was a great combo.